So here are the demonstrations of the natural movements, ground movements. So a bent sit upward reach, it's really easy, and I quite often start the class with this one. So you just sit, knees bent, feet on the ground. You don't have to be like dead upright through your spine. You can be relaxed because it's natural movement, so it's not necessarily about, pulling everything back and sitting up really rigid. So slightly relaxed through the spine is absolutely fine. Hands are placed down on the ground next to you, and then all you're doing is reaching up like that, up and down. So it's a nice one to start the class with because it gets the hips mobile, it gets you on the ground, it wakes up the shoulders, the lats and the muscles of the upper back. So that's it, bent sit, upward reach. The next one on the list that's kind of added in with a little arrow, and one that I quite often do at the start of the class as well, is back rocks. So you can do forwards and backwards or side to side. So just on my back, knees hugged in, and I'm just gently rocking backwards and forwards and trying to touch my feet to the ground. And then you can also do them side to side like that as well. So good for some core activation and a bit of waking up the spine and kind of massaging the back as well. Number 2 on the list is side bent sit reverse, and you sometimes hear this called a 90-90 switch. So it's the one where you sit in this side bent sit position. You can, again, like the bent sit upward reach, you can be slightly relaxed through the spine, not really hunched over, but slightly relaxed is fine. But using your core muscles a little bit to just hold you up and help you with the movement. And then either with hands on the ground or without, so I'll demo with hands on the ground. You come up, so you're in that bent sit position, and then you flip your legs down to the other side. Let me just do that again. So in my starting position, my left leg is in front, my right leg is behind. I'm coming up into that bent sit, and then I'm dropping the legs the other way so that now my right leg is in front and my left leg is behind. I've seen Tom Morrison doing something like this and really encouraging people to really get their legs into a very open 90-90 position like that. But in natural movement, because you wouldn't actually sit like that on the ground in real life, probably more like a kind of 45-degree angle instead, and that's perfectly fine. Number 4 on the list is a flexed foot kneel to a deep knee bend. So a flexed foot kneel is that you're just in a low kneel, but your feet are flexed like that, so they're not like untucked flat onto the ground like that. They're flexed like that, and then from there you come up into this position, which is called a deep knee bend. And then with as much control as you can go back to your flexed foot kneel and then into your deep knee bend. And if you want to, you could start that as a low kneel. You could bring it into the flexed foot kneel and then take it into the deep knee bend like that. Number 5 on the list is a cross sit pivot. So I'll show you this from a couple of different angles so you can see what I'm doing. So I basically start cross-legged, and it doesn't really matter which leg you have in front. People will just automatically do the one that feels more comfortable for them, and you can encourage them to try changing it over just to see how it feels, but just let them sit however they want to. And then what you're doing is placing your hands sort of behind and beside you, and you're going to pivot into a position where you're on tucked toes in the palm of your hand, so as if you were going to do a bear crawl or something. So put my hands down and I pivot through into that position. So I'll just go sideways onto the camera and do that again. So I'm sitting in my cross-legged position. I reach round, so my right hand comes almost behind me, my left hand is next to me, and I just pivot through into that position. And then this is a fun one to play around with, because you can, from there, you can get them to crawl away. Or when I'm doing it as a drill, we do that, and then we come back, and then we go the other way. And the other thing you can do with it, which is just for fun, is pivot it right the way over. So let me get over here so hopefully you can see the whole thing. So I'm going to pivot, I'm going to go all the way over and back into my cross-legged position. I'll do that the other way. So pivot, all the way over, and there I am. Number 6 on the list is called a rotational bridge. This will give you a little bit of glute activation and some nice thoracic rotation as well. So for this one, you lie on your back, and hopefully you can see the right bits of me. You can see my feet on my arms, so that's good enough. Okay. So for this, you come up onto your toes, and ideally you stay up on your toes with your hips lifted, and then you roll over so that you're lying on the shoulder and upper arm of one side. You take it back to the middle, and then you go the other way. And optimally, you do it without putting the hips back to the mat, but some people struggle quite a lot with that. So if they do, they can just pop their hips back down, pick them up again, come up onto the toes, and go the other way. Back to the middle, hips can go down, back up onto the toes, lift the hips, and rolling onto the top of the shoulder and the upper arm. So that's called a rotational bridge. I'm going to show you a tripod transition. You go up into that like tuck toes on your hands position, and then I'm going to lift my right arm and my left leg is going to come through like that. Okay, and go the other way. And they can start just coming through with the leg bent, and then if they want to step it up, they can bring the leg through straight. The arms just lifting out the way to make room for the leg, so just pulling back like that. Number 8 is a tripod get up. It takes a minute to coordinate, so I usually do it on one side and then the other, rather than them getting to alternate sides, because they get a bit confused, and so do I. So you're lying down, my right leg is long and my left leg is bent, okay? Then I'm going to use my right elbow to push myself up so that I lift up my torso. Now, I'm going to plant my right hand more or less in line with my right hip, and then I bring my right leg back so that I'm like that. So that's my tripod position, 1, 2, 3. And from there I stand up. And then I try to go back the way I came. So go back to the tripod, push that right leg through, left leg is bent, right leg is long. Okay, then push myself up on my elbow. So left arm doesn't do anything, just waves around in the air. Palm down, push up, tripod, and up. Go back the way I came. And then they can make it kind of dynamic, so just making it a bit faster if they feel confident. And then you switch it around and go the other way, so left leg long, right leg bent, and you're pushing up using your left hand. Last one on my list is a kneeling to standing variation. So for this one, if they can get into a low kneel, that's how they start. If they can't get into a low kneel, they can start in a high kneel, okay? So low to high, into a half kneel, and then I'm really going to try and get my knee over my toe. Just spend a bit of time there, just flexing into that ankle. Okay, then I come back and I'm going to get up from this position. People who can will just tuck their back foot and up they get, and people who need to use their hands on the ground and put their hands down, tuck their back foot, and up they come. I usually get to do that like twice on each side. So for some people that's enough, and for other people who can, I just get them to stand up from a flexed foot kneel. So they go from a low kneel with untucked feet like that. They tuck the feet and they get up like that, nice and slow, with as much control as they can manage. Because if they're kind of going like you know, it's not great. So they're better off doing the previous version and doing that with control. But if they can control that, then they can practice that instead. Okay, that's it. Hope that helps.
Just like nothing has changed. No matter how hard you try, you cannot push me out, so just listen. I've been thinking